conference where we're getting you set to get back to business in salon, doing your work and such. Can you tell that I'm really good at doing these intros? So great. Thank you so much to L'Oreal Professional Products Division for sponsoring our conference. And thank you so much to Georgia Bell, Oliver Blackby, and Siobhan Jones for joining me for this session. Hi everybody.
Hello.
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 Thank you for having us.
So today we're going to talk about new wave media. And by that we mean things that aren't technically normally used by salons to promote or to communicate with people. So we're talking about newsletters, talking about TikTok. I mean, I know you guys don't do that. Maybe you do. Maybe we'll find out today. We're talking about podcasts, and we're talking about live TV shows, and how you three utilize them to communicate with the hairdressing community and as a marketing tool as well. So I'm going to start with you, Siobhan and Ollie. See, now I'm friends with you, Ollie.
That's all right.
We knew that was going to happen. Yeah,
it's inevitable.
I think it's because in my notes I've got you down as Ollie.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the idea for the So Lovely Hair Show podcast?
Well, Siobhan and I have worked together for over 10 years, and we used to work for a major company, and then we both went our separate ways, and we've kept a really good friendship, and we've always considered doing some form of a podcast. And Siobhan opened up Rose and Wild last year, and I worked there one day a month, and we were starting to really start getting a bit of a momentum about it and talking about it. And we just really wanted to create an environment that we wanted to create a staff and chit chat that was fun, but also covered topics that we felt was quite important. And obviously we got to lockdown and we had nothing to do. So it was the prime time for us to actually do it, I guess.
Yeah, amazing. And so who is your primary audience with the podcast?
What's been really good is like our primary audience is the hairdresser, basically. So we wanted it to be a chit chat that kind of covered subjects that people would talk about in a staff room, as opposed to at a show or something like that, like a little bit kind of more kind of underground chit chat. But what's been really nice is we've had lots of really good feedback from clients and also like friends and people that aren't hairdressers, and they found it really interesting because we've covered topics that would filter into other job descriptions as well. So for instance, we did a whole episode on well-being. So like what we were saying is during lockdown it's been great because we're all kind of we've got a lot more time, so we're spending a lot more time sleeping, eating well, drinking well, and looking after ourselves. But typically hairdressers aren't known to do that. Like we skip lunch. We work all the hours God sends, and
on your feet all day.
Exactly. And we end up getting things like carpal tunnel and bad backs and all of these things, and it's just a given. Whereas actually we wanted to communicate that doesn't need to be the norm, and actually there are ways that you can enjoy your job but also look after your body, look after yourself, look after your mind. And I think that works for not just a hairdresser, that works for people in all industries. And I think that's what's been really lovely about it. It's been relatable for like everyone, actually.
Everyone.
Yeah. And Georgia, talk to us about the hair show. How did you start working on that with Dom and Jordana? And can you talk a bit about what your role is on the show?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do the hair show every Monday, and I'm a presenter alongside Dom and Jordana. I've known Dom a couple of years now, and we, started out doing a podcast for him, and I've done a blog for him. And it's just a show for the hairdressers. Everyone gets involved. They tell us what they want to see. And it's kind of like an online magazine show where we just, bring up controversial topics, bring up stuff that's going on right now. And it's just a great platform for debate and sort of discussion, which is really good.
And your segment on the show isn't always about hair, is it?
No, I really wanted to bit more fun into it as well, because when you think about these YouTube kind of channels and these television programs online, I think it's good to be not too serious. I do two segments. So I do hairdressing horror stories, which is all your embarrassing and terrible things that have happened to you in the industry, and I also do Brekkie with Belle, which is kind of like,
that's the one I'm talking about.
yeah, the dear Deirdre of the hairdressing industry. So if you've got a problem in your staff room or you've got a problem in your salon, then write into me and you remain anonymous, and I'll do my best to answer it for you.
I love it.
Love it.
And so what I'm getting from both of, well, from the So Lovely Hair Show and the hair show, is that both are for the hair industry, but actually they both give an insight to the hair industry for customers too. How do you think that both of those shows help to like engage with clients as well?
I think what I think is really important is a lot of the stuff that we do within the industry is amazing. Like there's lots of shows, loads of competitions, and we have to train ourselves to a really high standard to get where we're at. But I think a lot of the time it's kind of secret. It's like in our industry, and people that aren't within it don't know. And I think the more that we do shows like this that kind of cater to the client, I think the more they're going to be aware of actually how, one, we're proud we are to be hairdressers, but also like how much effort goes into being a brilliant hairdresser and to have the skill that we have. So I think for that aspect, it gives us a really good platform to shout about and be proud about our industry and what we do and why it's beneficial and how we get there, basically.
And I think things have changed as well. I think the industry's changed. I think it's nice for our clients to see all of the effort and, you know, the way that we colour hair and how much we actually put into ourselves in terms of the way that we educate ourselves as an industry. I'm not sure there's an industry that really pushes as hard as what we do with that. I think we're continuing to grow all of the time. And I think, quite loads of my clients watch the hair show on Monday. It's quite surprising to me, really.
Amazing. Yeah, I think it's great. And something that came up in our last panel is that through social media, you get to know obviously about like the services that people provide, but also it's about learning about the personality of the person behind who's doing your hair or the salon owner or etc. And this is the way to do that. Do you guys agree?
I think what's really interesting since we've been in lockdown, we haven't had the ability to talk to our customers, and this has given us the platform to be able to still have a conversation with our clientele. And I think, hairdressing as an individual, it's when you've got clients, it's almost like it's like dating. It's like finding a great relationship with someone and creating that rapport with them. And I think this is a perfect opportunity for clients to sort of get an insight into you, because also like in the salon, you're quite often working to a degree quite hard, sort of trying to make sure you're ticking all the boxes with what you're doing. But to actually hear people have a chit chat with other hairdressers about what they do, it does give you an insight about how hard we work and how, we're traveling a lot. And, when we're not in the salon for 3 days in a row, it's not because we've taken a long weekend off and gone to the seaside. Some of us. I live by the seaside, so that's fine. But it just sort of like, so that's what you do. And, you just see the social media on the social media side, how much effort and energy that goes into making that work. I think it's just a great way for you to communicate with your clients as well.
I've had loads of clients actually where I'll be talking to them and then I realise they're not actually really listening because they're eavesdropping on a conversation that's happening further down the salon. And I think like they do love it. Like they love obviously the conversation they have with their artists or stylists, but people love like the conversations that happen in the salon with other clients and the transformations that happen and the gossip. It's really exciting. It's like living like in EastEnders, but like whilst getting your hair done.
It's being a part of the community.
To get the new normal out there as well, isn't it? And it's a good way to sort of sell your brand ethos and what you're really about. People can just go online now and they can see what you're about and they can really get a feel for your business,
Definitely. Just to let everybody know on Facebook, if you have any questions for Georgia or Ollie or Siobhan, send them through and we will get the questions over to them. Obviously you guys, well, for Ollie and for Siobhan, you started your podcast during lockdown or the main bulk of it. And Siobhan, you're not headed back to the salon because you're going to have a baby. But Ollie, you'll be heading back to the salon. How much commitment of time does it take to create a podcast if someone was interested in starting it?
Well, when we first started to plan to do it, I was really sort of in a brain fog about the technical side of it. And I went onto YouTube and tried to find out probably the easiest way I can do it. And, you know, for a start, there's some amazing apps out there that you can literally record straight onto the app, and then you can edit it and release it from there. I think you've got to make sure you've got a really strong idea and a vision of what you want to do before you start it. And you've got to be authentic and be true to yourself about what you're talking about, because if you're not going to come across well. It is a commitment to start with, and I think the more you do it, you get into a pattern of how you're recording it, what your topic and your questions are going to be, and how you're going to end it, and thinking about how many episodes you're going to do and the date you release it on. So the last 3 months has been a massive learning curve for me, because I've become the IT guy and editing and cutting and pasting and pulling things together. And I never thought I'd do that. So it's been a massive learning curve for me. There's plenty of people out there that would do it for you as well. So I think I've had advice from friends who do it. But I think moving forward, we're going to slightly change the format of how we're going to do our second series. But we've definitely learned on the job. But because we've been in lockdown, that's really been perfect for me, because it's given me something to do.
I was about to say, it's like a passion. Not everything has to make money. I think that's something that well, I don't know, maybe you guys do make money from it, but I think that a lot of the time there's all these side hustle. You have to have a side hustle. You have to, you know, up your profile. And some things actually can just be done because you love it. Yeah. As well.
Definitely.
Georgia, with the hair show, what is the technical side behind that? Because it looks very fancy.
Well, no, we do have Dan, who does all our editing and our producing, so we're really lucky to have him. And then we have Dom, that works tirelessly all day on a Monday setting up the windows. But at the moment, we're all in front of our computer screens, we're all in different parts of the country, and we just have to try and put it together the best that we can. But obviously after lockdown, we hope that we're going to be in a studio. But yeah, we're working really hard to bring the best information out to you guys, and we do it out of, it's labour of love, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a good thing, you know?
Yeah, definitely. With regards to getting in touch with customers in a more traditional way, do you guys use like email marketing to do any kind of like like customer reach outs other than like for offers and stuff?
Sorry. Yeah. So we do a lot of email marketing, like especially through lockdown. That was our only way of communicating. So we did a lot of things. So we actually included like videos from the team. So with step-by-steps of hair. We did like a video of, you know, just us telling them that we missed them. We sent out text messages and all these kind of things. But we already offered like an online consultation process, which has been really helpful for us now because it was already set up. So it basically consists of them receiving a consultation form, and then where they can input images of their hair now, images of their desired look, and fill in those kind of questions that we would normally ask within the salon. And then that kind of gets that engagement going, and also it kind of shows that we care before they've even been. So they're already kind of, even though they haven't been to see us yet, they're already kind of addicted. They've kind of had that conversation already, and we've already kind of discussed their hair. They've committed. So that's been really helpful, I think. But I think moving forward, I think people are definitely more engaged with online. So it'll be interesting to see the difference that makes on our communication, how we communicate with clients.
Definitely.
In the future.
What about you, Ollie?
Yeah, I've got a small salon in Brighton. So myself and Alfie, we worked together on our Instagram to make sure that we got one of our sort of like our house models, and we got her to do her own hair, so that they could, you know, rather than seeing us do it on a doll's head, it was seen by someone actually doing their own hair. So it made it more accessible. And then also we did newsletters just to kind of keep in touch with people, and also doing like a scripted video, just so that we can keep getting the message out there that we are thinking of them and we miss them. So very similar to Siobhan, you know, we were very much engaged. And I've definitely felt like that's really made them feel special and feel like, oh, you know, it's not just gone quiet, you know. And you know, since I've been doing my online consultations with them last week, it's been easier for sure for getting back into work.
Amazing. And Georgia, do you do e-marketing as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We do newsletters, emails, texts, and then even at the start of lockdown, I put something on our Facebook page, and I said if any clients want a little phone call, then just put your number, inbox me a number. So I've been ringing the older ladies that are on their own and stuff like that as well.
Oh, that's so nice.
That's really lovely. Oh my God, I had a question in my head and I completely just left. Why does that always happen? Sarah said, can I please ask if anyone has any advice about how to have an e-shop? I've embraced TikTok and have over 50k followers.
Ooh,
We needed your advice, Sarah.
yeah, exactly. Come here, Sarah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, do you guys have any experience with like e-commerce or selling through your website?
Oh, that's something I want to start, but honestly, I have no advice because I still have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have an e-shop, and we do. I can't give. It's quite hard to explain all, but we do sell a lot of our products. So we do that on our Facebook page. Even in lockdown, we've been like retailing products actually, and sending them out via post and stuff like that.
Amazing. Siobhan?
We kind of do it via our system. So we use Forest, and they've actually updated their system, so they've got a new e-shop, and it's really easy to set up. So I guess dependent on what provider you use, I think like to do your database and everything, I think a lot of them should have some kind of already made system that can enable you to do it. But otherwise, apart from that, that's already done and I use that and it's fine. But to do it on your own, I'm not on, which I don't know.
No.
Oh, Sarah said thank you guys. So in regards to TikTok, I'm intrigued by this platform. I feel old on it, but I spend hours scrolling through it, and I've seen a lot of hairdressers embrace that. Do you think that it makes sense to be an early adopter of a new platform than trying to grow your Instagram or Facebook following, or do you?
Well, I've only kind of been the same. I've been a bit of a voyeur on TikTok, and I haven't engaged doing it purely because of what you've just said. I sort of feel a bit sort of out of my depth with it, and I don't know. It's a strange one, isn't it? And I think because I've been doing the podcast, I've been so focused on that rather than on TikTok. But I think it's probably a good idea that we do.
Oh, Sarah said she's 51.
Oh.
And she was late to the party with Facebook and Insta. So maybe Sarah can help you the panel, Sarah.
I think you've got to choose the right platform for you and like what you're offering, because like from what I gather, I really like TikTok. I've loved it during isolation, just because there's just been so many like funny things that just kind of kept the mood quite lighthearted, rather than on some platforms it's been a bit grim actually. Like I found Facebook has been more kind of negative actually for me. But so I think with TikTok it's definitely kind of a bit more tongue-in-cheek. It's light-hearted, whereas Instagram is imagery based, so it's kind of whatever your offering is, then obviously kind of filter it to work for that, rather than changing what you do to work for the platform. Does that make sense?
Good advice, Siobhan.
It is the fastest growing.
Good advice.
So I think it is the fastest growing platform. So I do think there's an opportunity on there, but I think because we see a lot of people dancing and singing and stuff, you automatically think, oh my God, I can't go on there. But if you utilize TikTok to showcase color correction or bright color or haircuts, and you put music to it, I think there could be a place for everybody on that, really.
We've had a few artists on our podcast though say that they've already got like a big following, but then they've tried to like move their following onto TikTok by doing that, and they found that they haven't really got much response. But then as soon as they've like, I don't know, stuck their head in a fridge and done something weird, then they've got like loads of really good response. So they're like, oh, okay, you don't want to see me do hair here. So I guess it's like finding your niche, like a way to like have the balance between the two, and no one has done that yet, so that I know of. So I guess within the hair industry, so I think you manage to do it, I think you'll be really successful actually.
Do you think there's a risk though of hairdressers wanting to be on all these platforms and then not having like a focus for one? Because obviously you guys are so busy that you don't have time to always dedicate to specific social media. Do you think that if you have each platform, there's a risk of like diluting your content?
Well, I think once we go back to work, it's going to change everyone's sort of presence on social media anyway.
Yeah.
And people are going to prioritize. Yeah, I think that, you know, there is that risk. But I think it's just, as Siobhan just sort of said, you know, you've got to find the platform that works for you. And you will probably stick with that. And I think because we've had this time to play and muck around with things, you know, you are going to streamline loads of aspects of our lives down to what, you know, where we were before, or going back into this new normal. So social media is a fickle world, isn't it? So it's kind of a hard one to sort of judge on, because, you know, if you're going to just get hung up about making sure you cover every platform, and you're going to just stress yourself out trying to make sure you're creating content for something that's not really there, in a sense. Do you know what I mean? When you really need to be focusing on the job at hand and pushing forward with your business, and then using your social media to boost that, but not be the primary thing that you do. So, you know,
I am going to shout out Sarah's TikTok because I'm very impressed with her. So if you want to find Sarah on TikTok, it's Sarah_doors_education. And I think we should all follow her on TikTok and see what her key to success is. Georgia, you've built a really big following on Instagram, and I really like your page because I feel like you get your personality out there as well.
The postman's at the door. Oh my.
Was that the postman?
Is that the postman?
Yeah, that's a child. They're starting them young.
It's amazing.
It's like a Benny Hill sketch.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll go
for TikTok. That's what you need for TikTok. That's it.
It is. It definitely is.
The postman's here and then a child runs in.
Got that.
You okay, Georgia?
Real life in lockdown, people.
Oh God, this is amazing.
Oh my God.
Oh, Georgia, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
What was your question, darling?
I was just saying, I love your Instagram because it's so real. I mean, we've just experienced it then. But what would you say to hairdressers that are scared of showing their personality through social media, and striking the balance between personality and inspiration?
I think it's a difficult one, but I think if you want to build a brand, I think, you know, don't be scared to show your personality. There's that much competition out there. You know, my Facebook, for instance, that's more catered to my clients. My Instagram is my freelance education, so that's catered to other hairdressers. And then my TikTok hasn't really got started yet. But no, I would say if you are scared about showing your personality, maybe look at getting on some presenters courses or something like that, just to kind of help you to sort of get who you are out there.
Yeah, definitely. And do you believe that people should censor themselves on social?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask for that.
No, I think you're the right person.
I think there's a fine line. I think it just depends. If you've got a voice, I always think, you know, I think you should talk about the things that you believe in.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that, you know, it depends on your audience. I think if you're going to put yourself out there too much, it can limit your client base, you know, so you can only attract a certain type of client to you. I think if you're wanting to appeal to everybody, I think you've got to be a little bit more careful about what you're putting out there.
Perfect. And Fiona said, what a cute postman. So you know.
She did that.
Sorry, what did you say, Siobhan?
Oh, nothing. I think I was laughing. But no, I do think going back to, like, you know, what to do, I think with this, you need to be true to yourself, don't you? So you don't want to, like, copy how someone else is on social media just because that feels like that's going to be right, because it might not work for you. Yeah. So some people, you know, it works really well to showcase everything that they're doing, whereas some people like to limit it. And And I think it will be dependent on your audience. Like I know for mine, like it's quite funny. Like if I put too much stuff of myself, then I lose followers.
Oh.
And, so I'm like, oh, they just want to see hair. Right, got it. All right, I'll shut up. That's fine. So, whereas for other people, and I'm sure for Georgia, like, you know, because it's great. She's got like really cute postmen running in the background, so people want to see that. So you know, then that will work for her. So, you know, it's just kind of gauging your audience and on yourself, really.
In our earlier panel, Adam Reed said that people have actually been in touch with him to say, can they take like inspiration from his posts or like copy his posts for their own social channel. How do you feel about imitation? Because obviously there's only so much stuff out there. There's nothing new under the sun, is what my mum used to say. Yeah. How do you feel about people copying and not, you know, always giving credit for where the original
I think it's really hard now with social media, the way you can access imagery left, right and centre. You know, nothing seems to be sacred anymore. I mean, flattery is the greatest, copying is the biggest form of flattery, really. You know, it's a massive compliment because obviously someone likes what you do. It just depends how they do it, I guess. You know, I think what we've definitely been talking about while we're doing the podcast is how, you know, obviously everything's come to a grinding halt, so there's no trends out there. So where we are referencing again, and where we're looking at things to try and sort of hit our sort of creative juices again. So like, I've even been back to mood boarding and looking through magazines like I used to, rather than scrolling through social media to try and find my inspiration. I was like, oh, this is what I used to do. You know, I did fashion before I did hair. So this is how I used to research, you know. So actually, this is quite nice to actually go back and sort of revisit where you've been to before. But even saying that, you know, if you're looking at pictures of historical, you know, hair or whatever, it's something that's already been covered. So, you know, like you just said, it's all regurgitating stuff that's already been there before. But it's how you put those things together that creates the inspiration that you should put out there, I guess. But yeah.
Amazing. We have a few more minutes, so if anyone has any burning questions, definitely send them through. Sarah said, in lockdown in my loft, I found loads of old Tony and Guy training books, and that's inspiring to look at now. Which is, people are getting inspired in loads of different ways throughout lockdown, which is, I think, been one of the biggest positives from it. What tips would you give to somebody that says, right, almost kicked over my water then, right, I want to get my name out there beyond maybe the salon that they work at or beyond what they're doing at the moment? What are your top tips for getting your name out there and getting people to notice your work?
I always say find somebody that inspires you and write to them and see what they can do to help you. You know, I always think try and get on photo shoots, offer to volunteer at Fashion Week to stand and pass pins if session's what you want to do, or whatever it is. I think especially people, like if you're not in a major city like myself, I'm not in a major city, so I really had to put myself out there and write a lot of letters and say, look, I'd love to do this for you, or go and help.
Who did you write to, Georgia?
Oh, I've wrote to loads of people. So I wrote to Not Another Salon, Brandon Messenger, all sorts of people. I've assisted at Fashion Weeks, all sorts of things. So it's all helped me, definitely.
Cool.
I think also trying to create a team around you to help create your own vision. So find a photographer that works really well with you, and have some models that you can know that they've got your trust in you, and then you can try things out. So if you want to start shooting your own looks, just try and create a pool of people that you feel like that you can really, really work with and bounce off. But also find someone who can mentor you, because then you need to get feedback from people about what images you're making, about how you can improve that. Because it's quite easy to say, I'm really proud of that, that's great, I'm going to put it out there. But if someone sort of say, you need to tweak this, your finishing is not quite this, and have someone who can give you honest feedback on your work and mentor you through that, I think that's something that I would recommend.
Yeah, amazing. Siobhan?
I think I think that's because you want to grow as a person, but I think it's really key that you know build who you are as an individual. Don't dilute yourself with inspiration from everywhere, because I think at the minute with social media, not so much now, but before, there was like overload of information available. So like for instance, I do a lot of balayage, but then for instance, I'd see lots of images with really bright colors here, there and everywhere. And then it would start to kind of get in my head, and I'd think, oh, should I start doing that? And it would then kind of change what who I am. And you don't really want that to happen. You want to have a clear identity, really. So you want to make sure that what you're offering is true to you, like what I was saying before. And you stick with that, because that's how you get remembered. You get remembered for something. And if it is really watered down, then that kind of, it will lose its kind of consensus, really.
Yeah. That's a lovely, lovely note to end on. So thank you guys so, so much. Oh, we have one more question. Beauty. So obviously this session's really between HJ and PB. So what would you say to people that are looking to incorporate social media into their work life, but might not have the imagery? Like hair obviously offers, you can take pictures of people's hair, but if someone's like a massage therapist, you can't really take pictures or videos of that. How would you tell them to proceed with their social media? What advice would you give? Obviously, I know you're all hairdressers, but
I've Rosa Wild, the salon that I own, it is about the hair, but actually a lot of it is about the aesthetic and like the experience. So in that Instagram, there is lots of pictures of hair, but the majority of it is actually like little parts of the salon. And that creates the experience when you look at it, rather than just thinking hair. So I think you could definitely do the same thing with beauty. Find out what your niche is within your space, and whether it's a certain color, have that filtered throughout, or whether it's a tool that you use, or what have you, and use that within your grid. And I think then you want to give someone the idea that they're in it, and it doesn't necessarily need to be what's been done. It can be like the surrounding and the experience. And
perfect.
Definitely talk about what you do as well. I think you do saying, this is what I do, beauty, and try and put yourself out that way as well.
Great. All right, well, thank you so much, guys. I hope we answered all your questions. This will be available to watch back across all our channels, so if you missed the start, if you missed the cute postman that we keep talking about, but thank you so much, and thank you to L'Oreal Professional Products Division for sponsoring this conference, and we'll see you at the 3 o'clock session. Thank you three so much for joining me.
Thank you. It's been great.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.